it, you know they watches out here. Oh yeah, gotta be that animal. Streets is like a jungle, it'll eat you like it's Hannibal. Wig split it, cantaloupe. Yeah, we see that every day. Candles lit, pour out liquor. Hope it take the pain away. I ain't trying to pay my way, I'm just trying to pay my way. Mama tell me gotta say them pennies.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to episode number 3 of the Infinite Reps podcast. My name is Trevor Stone. Follow us on IG at Trev12. You already know what it is. I'm gonna get right into it. We're dealing with the book called Relentless today. Okay, this is by Tim Grover. All right. From good to great to unstoppable. All right. So this book, again, we only deal with the expansion of the mind, the infinite expansion of the mind. We deal with again, personal growth. This applies to business, sales. But this is foundation. This book is foundation. Okay, we'll deal with specific principles, right? On different techniques, on tutorials and things like that. Good books on that. But this is like this is overall foundation for being better at life, right? It's all about mindset. It's really intense. It's on the intense side. It's not for everybody, I don't think. It's a lot to do with like personal accountability. If you ever read another book we'll deal with, it's called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. It's like intense on that level, right? It's all about mental strength. Okay, so Tim Grover, he is a legendary conditioning, strength and conditioning coach. Okay. He's worked with people from the Michael Jordans of the world, right? That's what he focuses on mostly in his book. But he's also worked with all different, world-class athletes of different sports. But he focuses a lot on basketball players, which I like. And he's worked with Kobe Bryant, he's worked with D Wade, Hakeem Olajuwon, Hall of Famers, you know what I mean? And he has a concept of what's called a cleaner, okay? So he kind of he starts off the book by categorizing people into 3 groups. He categorizes them as most people are coolers, a lot of people are closers, and a few are cleaners, okay? So again, if you look at the cover, right, from good to great to unstoppable, okay? So think about people in business, in life, right? On the football field and the basketball field, you have those people who are good, you have people who are great, and then you have those who are unstoppable, okay? And Tim Grover, right, just to kind of put things in perspective, the reason why he's the best at what he does is because he shows us in this book how to instill the killer mindset. He shows how he goes about the process of instilling the killer mindset in other in world-class athletes and what that looks like, okay? When it comes down to it, he talks about how the margins, right? He's really good at explaining how the margins for world-class athletes are really small. Once you get into that field, like, for example, the NBA, right? When it comes to skills and talents, the margins for, this person being that, much better than that person, that's very small. Everybody pretty much has the same level of skill, right? You can argue the difference between those who are cleaners and everybody else is the mental, right? So again, this is a really intense read. Definitely foundational. Is definitely highly recommended, right? But let's just get into real quick what he calls the Relentless 13. I'm just gonna read them off to you real quick. And again, remember, he says that there's 3 different types of people in life. Okay, so with cleaners is where you want to be. All right. With cleaners, he says things like this. When you're a cleaner, you keep pushing yourself harder when everyone else has had enough, okay? You get into the zone and you shut everything else out. You're able to control the uncontrollable, right? He talks about how cleaners would rather be feared than be liked. He talks about how they have a dark side that refuses to be taught to be good, okay? He gets very deep, and this is very intense, okay? He says when you're a cleaner, you're not intimidated by pressure. You actually thrive on it, okay? So there's 13 principles, right? Definitely look those up. Definitely look up Tim Grover's book, Relentless. But what we want to kind of think about here, because the last episode we talked about practice. All right, we picked up the Leadership Playbook by Nathan Jamel, and we talked about practice and how when you're dealing with a business or conducting your life like it's a business or corporation, that the best way to do that to get results is to run your business like it's a professional sports team. So if you are the business, if you are the bag, you run your life like a professional sports team. And what that comes down to, remember, we talked about mandating practice. This book tells you what mindset you need to have when you practice. So this is about not just winning, but winning by a lot, by dominating, basically. Okay. And again, when we're talking about like the Michael Jordans of the world, the Kobe Bryants of the world, we're talking about people that dominated in what they do and what they did, right? So I just want to read some passages so you guys can have an idea, right? So we'll just begin with the first chapter. Let me just pull it up here. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. So on page 44, right, just to give you an idea of Tim Grover's content, right, and we'll talk about some more stuff in a sec, but the fact is, he says, you can't train your body or excel at anything before you train your mind. You can't commit to excellence until your mind is ready to take you there. He says, teach the mind to train the body. Physical dominance can make you great, but mental dominance is what ultimately makes you unstoppable. Okay, so again, we have good, we have great, and we have unstoppable. He says physical dominance can make you great. Oh, it can make you great, but mental dominance is what makes you unstoppable. So there's a lot of great players in the NBA, for example. We'll stick with the NBA metaphor. There's a lot of great players in the NBA, but there's only a few unstoppable ones, right? And what makes them unstoppable is, again, Tim Grover says, the mental edge. So when he discusses these principles, right, in his book, he's showing you what that mental edge looks like. That way you can, when you read this book, you can have an idea of what you're going for, right? What's going to make you successful, because that's what it comes down to, okay? So he goes in. He says, you'll never have a more powerful training tool than this. Get your mind strong and your body will follow. That's how he implements his training programs for the best athletes in the world. Get your mind strong first, and we'll deal with the body. We'll deal with the body, okay? And this book will kind of show you the level of commitment that you need to have to excellence, because what he does is he pushes his athletes, again, Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan actually said, I don't pay you to train me. I pay you not to train anybody else. That's how intense Tim Grover is. He says, I don't pay you to train me. I pay you not to train everybody else, right? So Tim Grover says anyone can measure weight, they can measure height, physical strength, speed, but you can't measure commitment, persistence, or the instinctive power of the muscle in your chest, your heart. Okay, that's where your true work begins. You have to understand what you want to achieve and know what you're willing to endure to get it, okay? And just to, give you a little bit more of an idea of Tim Grover, what he's about, right? He says cleaners, right, they do the hard things first just to show that there's no task that's too big for them, okay? And when he talks about, this idea of getting uncomfortable, okay, getting out of your comfort zone. Obviously, you've heard people talk about getting out of your comfort zone. That's where you grow, right? We've all heard these phrases before, but again, I would challenge you to read this book just to help internalize these principles. And the way he delivers this is so intense and so raw that again, you'll be able to really feel what he's talking about, which is what you need to do in order to apply it to your own life. You got to understand him. You got to feel it. You got to feel him. You got to feel Tim Grover. You got to feel him when he's talking, right? So he says, yes, I know it's uncomfortable. I'm not telling you to love it. I'm telling you to crave the result so intensely that the work is irrelevant, right? He says that you got to crave the result. You got to crave your goal so intensely that the work is irrelevant, okay? The pain is irrelevant. And again, he's worked with world-class athletes, the Kobe's, the D Wades, Hakeem Olajuwon, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan. And what he says, no trainer or coach or expert can make you good or great or unstoppable if you're not going to do the work, okay? He says, if you're waiting for someone to make it happen for you, it's on you. The bottom line is, if you want success of any kind, You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Every time you think you can't, you have to do it anyway. Right? These are gems. These are gems. Right? You don't just go through the motions and watch until the clock is over. Right? You invest in what you started, pushing yourself again and again beyond where you've already been. So the difference is, right? The coolers are good. The great players, they probably even make it to the NBA, right? And they probably go through the motions and they do their training, they get their sets in, they do their reps, right? But the cleaners are on a whole nother level, okay? The cleaners operate with the utmost enthusiasm, with the goal of domination, okay? And that's what Relentless is about, okay? So when we're talking about practicing to get better, you have to mandate that. But also mandate in your mind that not only are you practicing to get better, but you're practicing with the intention to dominate in your field, right? And Tim Grover, he shows you what that looks like. He shows you what that's going to look like, in real life, right? And he's able to cultivate that. So you can learn a lot from this book. Again, this is foundation. And the bottom line is, when it comes down to cleaners and closers and coolers, you can really see the difference. You can tell the difference, okay? My dad used to always criticize LeBron James whenever he watched games. He would criticize LeBron James because he was just like, man, he just doesn't have that killer instinct like Jordan. He doesn't have that killer instinct like Jordan. Now I know what my dad was talking about. This lays out what the killer instinct really is, all 13 chapters of this book. And when it comes down to it, let me just go to the page where he kind of breaks down these other categories as well, okay? Because he says this, right? With the basketball analogy, right? Tim Grover, he's breaking it down to you. He's giving you this game, $1 billion game, giving it to you, right? You got to go buy the book, but again, I'm gonna give it to you right here. So he says coolers, the good ones, they will avoid taking the game-winning shot. Now think about the best of the best. The coolers, they will avoid taking the game-winning shot. Closers, they'll take the shot if they know they have a good chance of making it. And cleaners, they just trust their gut and they don't have to think about it. Now, Kobe, cleaner. Michael Jordan, cleaner. LeBron might be a closer because I've seen him pass the ball, right, when he should have took the shot, right? When you're the guy, like when you've been LeBron James for as long as you've been LeBron James, nobody's going to get mad at you for missing a shot. Kobe's missed a ton of shots, right? But he's a cleaner because he doesn't even have to think about shooting a shot. Now, you get that way because they operate from, again, instinct. Tim Grover talks about the gut. They trust their gut, okay? They operate with the highest form of intelligence, which is intuition, okay? Closers are thinking about it, right? At that point, if you have time to think, that means you're wasting time, okay? That means you probably didn't practice enough or whatever. Cleaners have practiced so much that when they're in the zone, it's only, they're operating off of instinct. That's what it is. They don't have to think about it. It's straight instinct. It's intuition. That's the highest form of intelligence. That's where you can really be the best. Closers, he thought about it so much that, it's not really that good of a shot. I'm going to pass the ball. LeBron James. Coolers, right? They're not even going to take the shot. They're going to pass it. All right. So just to understand, right? He also says coolers, they won't offer to take on a role that they're not comfortable with. Let me say that again. He says coolers, they will not offer to take on a role that's outside of their comfort zone. A closer will take the role if you ask them to, and they'll do it well if you give them enough time to study and prepare, right? So they'll take the role if they're not gonna just go out of their way and take the responsibility. A cooler will never even, these people, they'll never even go outside their comfort zone. These people, if you ask them to, like, okay, man, but I gotta have the conditions just right. It's just like when you're shooting the ball. The cooler's not gonna shoot the ball, right? I really want to drill this because this is a great concept. The cooler's not gonna shoot the ball. the closer will shoot the ball if the conditions are just right, right? So the cooler won't even go out their comfort zone. The closer will go out their comfort zone if the conditions are just right, which is not even really going outside your comfort zone. But if the conditions are just right, I'll kind of step kind of outside my comfort zone. And cleaners, they don't have to be asked; they just do it. You don't have to ask them; they're just gonna do it. So the main thing here is, again, cleaners, they never come with excuses. They only come with results, right? And again, you can tell the difference. This is the difference between LeBron James and Jordan. Okay, they played in different times. It's a different era. You know, everybody shoots threes now. You know, they play zone defense. But bottom line, when Jordan was coming down, he was coming down the court to dunk on you. Okay, LeBron James is the the biggest specimen we've seen in sports. Like he's fast, he's big, he's tall, he's strong. He can do it all, but he just doesn't dominate. He doesn't dominate. He's not dominating like Shaq. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, he's not a center like that, but he has the ability to really just dunk on anybody. And the difference is he doesn't want to. Jordan wants to humiliate you. He wants to dunk on you and humiliate you. Jordan, to put it up and sum it up in one word, Jordan is relentless. Okay, he's unstoppable, right? And this just reminds me of, okay, so just story time. I'm playing 2K with my nephew one time, and you know, of course, I'm winning. I probably 21 them, and I'm talking trash. He's not getting mad. He's just like, you know, he's like whatever. And then he calls me a try hard. He was like, Trev, you a try hard. I'm like, a try hard? I'm like, this is the first time I'm hearing that. But he said it like, I was like, yeah, damn right, I'm a try hard. Yeah, I'm a try hard. I'm gonna win. But he was saying it like, of course, like an insult, right? So I'm just like, man, like the kids these days, this is that, you know, try hard. This is that participation trophy culture. Okay, this is that everybody gets a cookie, you know, even when you lost by 50 points. Okay, oh, it's okay. This is you know, when it comes down to it, the relentless mindset has to do with not having any sympathy for losers or victim mentality, right? Again, this is intense. This is just raw. Like there's no room for that, right? Yes, I'm going to try hard, and I'm going to tell you beforehand I'm going to try hard, and my goal is to dominate. Okay, and when you think that way, there's no room for one, failure isn't an option. You know, losing isn't an option. If you do lose, you lose you lose humbly, but you know, you always go in with the expectation to win. Okay, but at the end of the day, you know, again, when we're talking about that, and I'm not taking a shot at anybody that's gotten participation trophies, but you know, you got to understand that, you know, one thing that Tim Grover says is that cleaners, they don't compete, they look for their opponent's weakness and they attack that. Okay, they're not worried about morality or anything like that. It's about winning. Okay, which is cold, but you know, the world is cold, and a cleaner, they don't want to just win. They want to win, and they want to run up the score on you. Okay, so my thing is this: when my nephew tells me something like that, or he makes a joke or, you know, an insult, telling me I'm a try hard, right? Or he looks at that as something that's bad, I'm thinking to myself, well, he's a child, okay? So somebody instilled those principles into him. He either got these principles instilled into him by society, or, you know, his teachers, parents, whatever, you know. I don't know where he got it from. He didn't get it from me, I tell you that. But this is exactly what we're trying to combat, okay? Like I said, this is not a gossip channel. This is about the infinite expansion of the mind, okay? And at the end of the day, this is not for everybody. This relentless mindset is not for everybody. But those who pick up this book, those who read it, don't understand where Tim Grover is coming from. There's no sympathy for losers, right? Cry me a river. And we really need to, I personally think that we need to get off of this participation trophy culture. If you didn't win, you don't deserve to get accolades at all. You shouldn't get a loser just for being here, right? You shouldn't get a trophy just for showing up, right? Losers don't get anything, right? And again, this will resonate with some people. Some people it won't. If it resonates with you, I will go and check out Tim Grover's book because he explains a lot better than I do. But again, like I said, infinite reps here. We deal with the infinite expansion of the mind. We're not dealing with no gossip, right? You know, big soldier. We don't care what he's doing. You know, shout out to him. You know what I mean? I'm fucking with the energy, but at the end of the day, right? We're not about the gossip. We're about information, and again, we're about timeless information. Timeless information. Okay. I don't want to put a timestamp in this video, but right now, Soldier Boy is trending, right? Big Soldier with the Dracos is trending right now. But what we want to do is deal with timeless information, because once that wave dies down, you only have yourself, okay? And if you're not investing in yourself with books like this, then you're always going to be looking for the trend. You're never going to be looking to start your own wave. I gotta have respect for Big Soldier, because he's providing a wave, nigga. He's riding a wave, nigga, and try not to drown, nigga, like little baby. So what I would challenge us to do with this book, I'm gonna read off these principles again. And just the challenge, man, is, again, if this information resonates with you, you have to continue to do your research. You have to continue to delve deep into these topics. Okay. The challenge is just to Google Tim Grover, Google Relentless, look him up on YouTube, look up some of his interviews. If what I said, if the little bit that I talked about, you know, resonated with you in any way, then when he explains it, it will definitely hit you hard, right? So Google the 13 principles of a cleaner that Grover lays out, and ask yourself, right? You look at them and then read them off, and then ask yourself, you know, have you ever operated like a cleaner, right? Have you ever been in a situation where you kept pushing yourself harder when everyone else has had enough? When you got into the zone and you were able to shut everything else out and you were able to control the uncontrollable? Have you ever been in a situation where you knew exactly who you are, where you had your dark side and it refused to be taught to be good, okay? When you were not intimidated by the pressure of the situation, but you actually thrived on that pressure of the situation, okay? When everyone else was hitting the in case of emergency button, have you ever been in a situation where when everybody else was hitting the in case of emergency button, they were all looking at you, okay? They were looking at you to solve the problem. Have you ever been in that situation? You know, you don't compete with anyone else. You find your opponent's weaknesses and you attack, okay? Relentless, okay? Play to win, you know? Kill what you eat, you know? Relentless, unstoppable. You make decisions, not suggestions. You know the answer while everyone else is still asking questions. You don't have to love the work, but you're addicted to the results. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it hurts. But I love winning so much. I just love winning so much, I'm willing to endure the pain, okay? You'd rather be feared than liked. Nobody liked Jordan. I don't like Jordan. Nobody likes Jordan. But hey, a lot of motherfuckers feared Jordan. When he got into the court, they feared him, okay? So he's a cleaner. You trust very few people, and those you trust better never let you down. You don't recognize failure. You only, you know there's more than one way to get what you want, okay? You don't recognize failure. You know that there's just different routes to get what you want, okay? You don't celebrate your achievements because you always want more. So that's the last one, but that's probably one of the most important, is this idea of complacency, okay? So, for example, you don't celebrate your achievements because you always want more. When Kobe Bryant wins the championship, yes, he celebrates for 24 hours, maybe less, and then he gets right back in the gym, okay? Then he's right back to practicing the basics. He's practicing all those things that got him to there, you know, from layups to threes, whatever. He's practicing. He's doing what he's supposed to do, okay? So again, Killer Trev 12 on Instagram. Go ahead and email any book suggestions to infiniterepsinfo@gmail.com. But this is foundation. This is foundation right here, okay? That's foundation, all right?